Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location deep in the heart of the Ozark Mountains using only a 9-volt battery and some aluminum foil. It's the Boardroom. Welcome to the Boardroom. It's your host, Joe Batterton.
I'm Nathan Rogers at WooPig Sumo on Twitter.
And we got this is show number two. Show number two. Should be a good show tonight. We got a good friend of ours who used to live in the area. Was one of my jiu-jitsu students, and me and Nathan actually both cornered him on several of his MMA fights. He's world-class archer, has won several awards.
World Championship, National Championship.
He's coached some folks to championships.
He's coached Kid Rock.
And Ted Nugent.
The
Motor City Madman.
And at one time was billed as the oldest active MMA fighter.
He's just old. I mean, that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
I think he's wrote a couple books lately, too.
Has. He's wrote a couple books. His latest is on Amazon. It's called The Power of the Tongue and Weight Loss. He's
kind of a real motivational kind of guy. He likes to coach the youngins along and make sure that they
and most recently coached the oldens.
Yeah, actually he'll talk a little bit about that later. But let's see. Let's talk about some crazy stuff that's been happening lately.
Yeah, well, our last show was a week ago. Since then, there's been some. Speaking of MMA, there's been some stuff that's came out.
Is it true? Is it true about Ronda Rousey?
Ronda Rousey has signed.
She's coming back to the UFC, right? She's going to rightfully take back her crown, right?
She's coming back.
Yes, she's coming back.
But she's coming back to the WWE.
What?
Yep. During Sunday's Royal Rumble, at the end of the show, Rousey made her first appearance, and the next day it was announced that she'd signed a deal with the WWE.
Oh, man, I'm so disappointed. So disappointed. I was really hoping she'd come back.
But there's a chance that a WWE could go back to the UFC because it's rumored that Brock Lesnar will return.
It's like a exchange program.
It could be. CM Punk is in the UFC now. He's scheduled.
Yeah.
He's scheduled to have his second beatdown in 2018.
Okay, I'm getting nauseous. Let's move on to something else. It's interesting. That's
interesting.
Well, it's one of my favorite sports, and it's always interesting to see it evolve. But speaking of Bigfoot, Don made me think of Bigfoot. I think our next show we're gonna try to get some Bigfoot. Is it big? What's the plural of Bigfoot?
Is it big feet?
Big feet or Bigfoots?
Just Sasquatch.
Sasquatchers. We're gonna try to get some squatchers on here to tell us about the big hairy fellow and try to convince us. Me and Nathan, I think, both want it to be real, and I guess there's maybe a possibility that there's something somewhere.
Yeah, I'm just not convinced. I want to believe, but I'm just not convinced.
I mean, since colonial times in America, there's been reports of wild men and hairy people. It's just like I said on our first show, I really think the reason we don't see them out in the wild so much is because they dress like humans and go to Walmart and shop with the rest of us.
That's possible. There was a sighting in Canada last week.
Here's my question, though: was it a close up?
Oh, no.
Or was it a far away shot?
It was far away. He's running through the wilderness.
Was he blurry?
Of course, he's blurry. No, but we do have a guest that's been a part of some Bigfoot hunting documentaries. And some more stuff on PBS and a couple movies out there that we're gonna have him on. And like you said, I don't know if he can convince us, but we're gonna ask him about his experiences during all this stuff.
Well, I was sitting there. I was reading some. This is so funny. Interesting documentation, and this has got to be true, folks, because it's on the internet, on the interweb, so it's got to be true. Apparently, Bigfoot can run up to 30 miles per hour. It says it right here.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah, he's documented in Indiana by Royal Cruden in a four-wheeler incident.
What was he like? Chasing him on a four-wheeler?
I'm thinking maybe that's what it was.
I think old Royal Cruden had been in some Crown Royal.
That could be how he got his nickname. This is the one that really, really fascinates me. This is so funny. The mating season. The mating season for Sasquatch is March through April. It says Grady Grange witnessed firsthand a couple of Bigfoot mating in the middle of March, doggy style.
Doggy style.
Or Bigfoot style, I guess. I don't know why they had to put that little tidbit on there.
He should have filmed that. And he could have released a sex tape of Bigfoot. It would have been...
He'd have lost his job as Bigfoot. That's pretty funny.
It would have been probably the... I don't know.
Let's see here. There's got to be some more interesting facts here.
I wonder what the Bigfoot mating call is.
What do you think it might be?
I don't know. Something like that, maybe.
It said, this must be the plural, Bigfoots are immune to pepper spray and have been known of being incapable of sneezing. This is amazing stuff.
They can't sneeze?
Apparently. Maybe that's the reason we never catch them out in the wild. They don't give their location away with the sneeze.
Interesting.
Tell me something else that's interesting going on out there besides Bigfoot. We're going to really get into Bigfoot next time, but
Apex TV, it's a YouTube channel. There was they posted a video of an unidentified man claiming to be a time traveler. It says he went to the year 6000 and he has a photo to prove it. Now he shows a photo in this video.
Okay.
And of course it's blurry because apparently your photos get blurry during the time traveling process.
Maybe Bigfoot's from the future.
Hey, maybe
time traveler.
Chewbacca, wasn't that in the future? Star Wars. I want to tell myself I've never been a big Star Wars fan, so all my friends out there that are Star Wars fans.
Now, when you say that, do you mean that you've never seen all the Star Wars movies? Or
I've never seen all of them, no. Okay. I've seen like the classic ones, and honestly, I just watched all of them maybe a year ago.
And you were less than impressed?
I'm just not into that stuff. I'm not a big sci-fi
I'm not a big sci-fi fan either.
I like realistic things.
Well, that's realistic if you were in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Big, hairy, Bigfoot guy flying around in a big flying saucer dish thing with Harrison Ford flying it. I don't know how unrealistic that is, Nathan.
I don't know. What's the ship called? The Millennium Falcon?
Millennium Falcon. See, you know something about it.
I do.
You sound like a fan when you...
I've watched it, but, typically I don't watch things like that. I typically don't watch things like The Walking Dead, but I do. I watch that. It's getting to the point now where I'm kind of over it. It's kind of repetitive.
But you can't stop watching it because you want to know what happens.
Well, part of me can't stop watching it because I've got so much time invested in it over the years. I'm like, man, Coral. And Game of Thrones. I typically don't like that stuff, but I love that show.
I haven't started watching that one yet because I know I'll get sucked into it.
Yes, you will.
But I like Better Call Saul. I like Breaking Bad a lot, and I like the prequel. I think it's pretty ingenious, some of the stuff they come up with.
Super Bowl is this weekend. The Patriots versus the Eagles. Super Bowl 52, or should I say LII? Why? I have a question. This is 2008. Why are we still using Roman numerals?
I think there's a hope that we'll go back to the Roman rule, I guess.
Can't they just say it's Super Bowl 52? Why does it have to be all these, the entire alphabet spelled out?
They're fancying it up.
Classing it up.
Classing it up a little bit. You got a bunch of guys out there fighting over a leather ball. They've got to do something to kind of class it up a little bit.
Speaking of that, stuff going, they don't really teach cursive anymore.
Why is that?
Why do they don't teach it, or why do?
Why don't they teach it?
Because we don't use it anymore. Everybody types.
Well, back in Don Williams' day,
They
they used cursive. As a matter of fact, I think they chiseled a lot of stuff on stone tablets. That's why Don was such a stud in the ring, is from carrying those stone tablets around, giving them to his girlfriends. Love notes.
I don't doubt that. Don fought when it is his later 50s.
Yeah, he was. He's actually he was in his
now.
early 50s, I think, when he was doing that. Let's see if we can get him on the phone. Get to listen real close, because Don's so old that his phone is even old. Let's see. I'm afraid we might get his answer machine.
You probably can't hear it.
It sounds like the Judds when he has his answer machine come on. Oh, I think it picked up. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Joining us in the boardroom is our good friend all the way from Michigan, Don Williams. How you doing, Don?
I'm doing good. Life is good.
Life is good. So what are you up to these days?
Well, I'm teaching self-defense at the Y, and I'm teaching rock steady boxing at the Y, and at this huge archery shop, I'm teaching archery.
Tell us a little bit about Rock Steady.
Oh, rock steady boxing is it's a program they found that works for bringing mobility and balance and hand-eye coordination back to people with Parkinson's. And the way it started was the prosecuting attorney in Indianapolis had got Parkinson's, and he wanted to keep working out, and he couldn't type anymore or do anything. He was about ready to retire. His neighbor was a boxer. He says, "Can I work out with you?" So he started working out with his neighbor at his house, and found out he could type again. So they started this program about 10 years ago. And they have affiliates all over the world now, and it really helps the hand-eye coordination, balance, all that.
How many students have you got, Don?
Probably 25.
I try to keep up with you on Facebook.
Range from 50 to 85.
I see some of these pictures of you in there, holding pads and boxing with these people, and it looks like everybody's having a good time, and it just sounds like an awesome program.
Yeah, kudos to you for doing that, man. That's awesome.
Well, they paid me pretty good to do it, but it kind of saved my life. My son had passed away.
And we heard
For
that.
6 months I didn't work out. No, I worked out the whole life. But for 6 months after that, I didn't do anything. And the Y called me and said, "Can we sign you up? We need a fighter for one of the coaches." And I'm like, yeah. Well, all of a sudden that date's on. Now all I've been doing is going to bed and going to work, coming home and going to bed. So now I got a date to go to this Rock Steady program. They got 400 people down there with Parkinson's. And through this weekend, I get this old lady, 83 years old, and I got to crawl around this mat and get up with her because I'm assigned to her. And I can barely move because I haven't done anything in 6 months. And she looked down at me and she says, "Son, sometimes you got to get up in life." So it brought a great change.
I guess so.
Good deal.
That's So what else you got going on? You're teaching self-defense right now also?
Yeah, I teach that to kids going to college and girls that are going to travel abroad. And I'm still studying martial arts. I just can't get away from it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you're still doing some work in some MMA.
Now, I'm not doing MMA. I was going to an MMA gym here till, about 2 years ago. We had a pretty good pro fighter, and I kept grappling with him and ended up dislocating my left knee and my left ankle. And I had to get my knee replaced. So.
Wow.
That's probably, from when you used to train with us, probably something I did at one time. It's just now.
This guy's he's a lovely man, though. He served 8 years over in the sand for us. And he was really decorated veteran over there in Special Forces. And the guy's a stud. But it's like you every time I seen you, I told you I was going to whoop you. And
Yeah.
every time I seen him, I told him that. And he always invited me in. So
What happened to you? What happened to you every time you said that?
I got my butt kicked. You know what, Joe? Why play with the girls when you can hang out with the big boys?
That's right. That's right.
If you don't, you need to find out how good you are with lesser men.
Well, that's one thing I can say about you, Don Williams, is you're not afraid of anybody. You'll just jump right in the middle of the biggest and the baddest.
That's where's the test at?
Speaking
I've
of
had a lot of ass whoopings in life.
speaking of biggest and baddest and ass whippings that you just mentioned, when you were fighting down here in the Ozarks, who do you think your toughest opponent was?
Besides me.
Besides Joe.
That's a given. That's a given.
You know, that is hard to say. I would have to say my second fight was probably Joe didn't even show up for that one.
I was out of
That guy was
town.
tough.
Yeah,
That guy was tough.
yeah.
And I just didn't bring it there. I didn't have it.
You won though, right? You won. I cornered you in that fight. You won. There's against the guy from Oklahoma, former professional wrestler.
That boy hit hard, man. He hit harder than anybody.
Yeah, those were good times back then.
Yeah, it was a good fight too. I'd never seen that fight. It's the only fight of mine I've never watched. We went to banging, and that saved me.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to grapple with that.
So tell us about your archery.
Well, I'm a master level archery coach, so coming back here, I got right back into teaching archery. Man, I got some great students. I got a kid that's won the last 3 national IBO events. I had 2 kids that won state championships. He was one of them last year too. But another kid is 12 years old, and he just started shooting 3D, and he won the state. I was shooting with that boy last night. We were shooting spots, and I beat him at spots all the time. But last night, I fed him $1, and you'd think I clicked something in him, and there's 18 spot shooters up here. About 10 of them are really good, you know, I mean, they're really high-class spot shooters. That boy finished 3rd out of 18 men and kicked my butt and took my darn $1. It's a little short 12-year-old run.
Well,
There's nothing I can do about it. I shot good, and he shot way better than I could.
well, you know they say that's a sign of a great teacher is when you get students that end up being better than you.
Yeah, he's there. He's there. He's the kind of person that thinks he's good at everything, though.
So what was up with
Something in his hands, he thinks he can handle it.
what was up with the picture of you and Kid Rock and Ted Nugent?
Well, I'm kind of famous in the archery world as a coach. And I work with Ted now and then, and so they wanted Kid Rock wanted to start shooting a bow, so Ted is a friend of my boss's, so they brought me out there to instruct him
How'd he do?
how to shoot it. He was incredible.
Really?
And he's another guy that I'm sure everything he touches, he's really good at. He's just one of the people. Because I showed him how to shoot at a bag up close at 6 feet. This is how you do it. And then I moved him back to 20 yards, and everything I said he did it just perfectly. And then he shot this group of 5 arrows you could put in a quarter at 20 yards.
Wow.
And I moved his sight over. He did it again, 5 arrows. This time they're inside the bullseye. And I'm thinking, who the hell can shoot up? You've never touched a bow in your life. I didn't say it, but who the hell you think you are? You know what I'm saying? But he's Kid Rock. And he's a stud at everything. I'm sure he is.
Awesome.
Tell us a little bit about your achievements in archery in the archery world. What's some of the things you've won?
Last year I did really well. Last year I won Spring Nationals in IBO. And I had shot, because I'm doing MMA, I quit shooting for about 10 years.
Right.
I started back last year, and I won the state Triple Crown. And then all the state Triple Crown winners, the best people in every class, had a shoot-off. And I beat all them guys and won the best of the best in Michigan. before that, I started off and I had won a world, and I had, I think, 4 top 5 finishes in nationals. And then I tore my shoulder up and had 3 shoulder surgeries, so I went around shooting crossbow in national titles. I won 7 nationals with a crossbow and a world with that, which was fun too.
That's pretty amazing.
So Daryl from The Walking Dead has nothing on Don Williams.
No. Matter of fact, Don probably coached Daryl.
I can shoot good.
So,
I used to be able to shoot good. I can't beat a 12-year-old, evidently, though.
well, I think that happens to all of us at some point.
So I mentioned earlier you have at least 2 books out that I know of. Your MMA one, and then your most current weight loss and power of the tongue.
Yeah. I wrote one before that. It wasn't very good. I look at them all as practice because I got 2 books I'm writing right now. And I won't even see what they are, but everyone has gotten a little better, so it's all practice.
That's just kind of the way it goes. You gotta. It's like kind of like our podcast. You've got to do a couple of them just to understand what you're doing. Is there any chance?
Yeah.
Is there any chance that you might be returning to the world of MMA?
You know the truth, Joe. I think I could get to 215, and I could fight at 205. That's the only way my knees and ankles would hold up.
You got new knees. I figured you'd be like the Bionic Man now.
Cut down to 205. Light heavyweight.
Yeah, see, my ankle is like that same leg. That guy dislocated my ankle. I mean, ripped it right out of socket where it was sitting against my shin bone, and my knee came completely apart and was doubled up underneath me.
Ow!
Did you
That leg is
cuss?
wrecked, dude. So I'm on that weight loss thing right now, and I've been training actually, and I've lost about 13 pounds in the last 3 weeks. So
awesome?
if I keep this up, I think I can make 215. If I get there, I can dehydrate to 205, and then I could be back to being the oldest fighter in America just for one fight.
For one fight.
Yep. Just one more time, Joe.
Hey, you know, if you get if you would just stay in the heavyweight, then we could match me and you up, and we just draw matches on who would win, and we just go out and put on a good show for everybody. They'd never know.
There you go. And I really don't care if I win or lose. I don't care.
Yeah,
You know the terrible thing, Joe, I got up here with a decent record. I never fought anybody up here that wasn't a belt fight.
oh, really. That's what you get. That's
man,
what.
I got my ass blown up a few
Hey.
times, I'll tell you.
That's what reputations will do for you.
Huh?
I said that's what a reputation will do for you.
Yeah. Well, you know, I come up here, I think I was like, I don't know, about 6-1, 6-2 or something like that. And they're like, well, that record, you got to fight somebody with that, you know, and people with that record had belts. So it's like, yeah, I can whip his ass. Well, I only won one of those fights.
What kind of drew you to MMA?
What's that?
What kind of brought you into MMA? What compelled you to even try it, let alone fight?
The death of a son.
Yeah, I remember that's about the time I think you come over to my school about that time. Wasn't too far in there.
Well, that guy down there, down the street, I went all down there, and Tyler and the boys were down there, and they had a kid from Chicago teaching. He was about $150. And he said he's a pro fighter. And so I went down there and trained one time, and he put that figure 4, you know, the leg triangle around my head and neck, or my arm and neck, you know what I mean? And I picked that boy up in the air, and I said, you gotta let me go, dude, or I'm gonna slam you on the floor. And he says, tap out. And he called me a B word. I said, dude, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna slam you on the floor. And he told me again, tap out, B. So I slammed him on the floor and fractured his neck, which we didn't know until a week later. Ended his career, and the next thing I know, me and Tyler and the boys are over to Joe's place.
You didn't pick me up off the ground like that.
So once you got in, you
My
got.
son, I didn't know what to do with all the anger and grief.
Yeah.
This pain. It
I-
saved me, Joe.
I know what you did. You took it out on me.
I tried to.
You tried to.
kept whooping me.
Well, somebody had to keep you in line, you know.
But once you got a taste of that, you was all about it.
Oh, I loved it. Well, I've been in martial arts. I started martial arts when I was 14.
You're a karate guy, right?
Wrestling. Yeah.
You did wrestling, and then you did karate a little bit later on, right?
Yeah, karate and wrestling. I started both of them at 14. And karate, I kind of hung with after high school. And just, I used to like it. It's still cool. I love it. I was doing katas this morning around the house when I woke up.
Well, I know it was always fun having you in class because you're always a good motivator for the young guys. Just, you know, pushing them that little extra and you know, just reassuring them that they can do more than what they thought they could. I think you got a gift at that.
Yeah.
You know what I believe, Joe? I believe when we think we're done, we're about halfway of what we really got.
You're probably right.
I really believe that. I really believe that. I think we always are trying to save something for something else. I don't think my rock steady people say nothing. I watch some guys burn right out. I got a guy come in here, couldn't even get out of a chair, and he pushed so hard he could only work out a half hour, and it wasn't a good workout. And now he's going an hour and a half, and he can stand up out of a chair and walk around the room and sit down and do it 10 times.
That's amazing.
It's just, yeah, he pushes, he leaves everything in there until he can't even move anymore. And I believe that's how we need to push us. I don't care what we're doing. Don't matter, Joe, whether it be at work or wherever. We only give half of ourselves to most things on this planet.
Yeah. The main thing is
the last half that makes you who you are.
That's right. Well, Don, hey, we appreciate you coming on, and it's been a pleasure an honor to have you as our first guest, and I love you, man, and miss having you around here, but I'm glad you're doing great things.
Thank you. I love both you guys too.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, well, that was awesome. Thanks again to Grandpa Don for coming on and being our first guest.
Yeah, just an all-around good guy, man. He's done a lot of good things for people and doesn't really get a lot of credit for it.
Well, you know, he's one of those guys who's had a lot of tragedy in his life. He's lost both of his sons in the last 10 years.
Overcome a lot.
Overcome a lot, and he's one of those guys. He just jumps out there and he reinvents himself all the time.
He's not a quitter.
No, and he's truly concerned about what's going on with other people. I've seen it time and time again, and we appreciate that about him.
So check out his book, guys, if you're ever on Amazon shopping around. Again, it's called The Power of the Tongue and Weight Loss by Don Williams.
But you know what that means, Nathan.
That's a wrap. Don't forget to like us, follow us, share us, subscribe to us. We're on iTunes now, so
Facebook.
Check us out. Facebook.
Where else are we at?
Twitter. I don't know.
Are we on anywhere else?
Not yet, no.
Well, thanks for listening to us here in the boardroom, and check out the next episode coming up pretty soon.